Hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space. And yes, the official kickoff of this year's Halloween card series. If you're new here, first off, welcome. And second, I have a thing for Halloween cards. Don't know why. I just really like making them. I have over a decade's worth of playlists of all the videos I've done. Again, over a decade of Halloween themed cards. I will have those linked in my blog post that's linked below the video because I can only link to so many things in the video. So those will be in the blog post. And yeah, I combined a new CZ Design wafer die set along with some very non-Halloween items. So one of them being a leaf background stamp, which I have sitting in front of me because I immediately forgot the name of it. The bold leaves background, which I have a playlist for that one because I did several videos using that background last year, I think it was. I'll have that linked in the end screen. And then, like always, as I continue to make Halloween card videos, I will be compiling them into this year's playlist, and I'll have that link to keep everything like somewhat organized because I don't follow a schedule. These are just going to be sprinkled in amongst all the other content I already do. It's the same thing when I start the Christmas series. Same thing. They'll just be all over the place. And then I just keep sticking them in a playlist to make it easier to find. So I think that's all the housekeeping for this. I dug out the bat light. It does work. Fun things. I dug out my little skeleton hands. Gotta have the props. Anyway, like always, everything I use will be listed and linked in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you use one of my links, end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It's what helps pay the bills, keeps the channel going, all the things. And let's get into making these Halloween cards. I also went sort of clean and simple with these, but as always, don't get complacent. You guys know, once I really get rolling, especially with the Halloween series, everything but the kitchen sink and maybe even a kitchen sink, you never know. It's all going to end up on these, on my cards, because I just gotta. It's fun. It's so fun. But these ones, yeah, I don't know. It's the idea built in my head, and this is where it ended up. So I started with this little die set that this came in, I think it was like last year. I've used it in previous videos. It's the Plentiful Petals little die set. And I die cut it from smooth white cardstock multiple times. And then I stuck all the pieces I wanted to use to a grip mat. This is like an Altenew grip mat, just to hold everything in place so I can do some ink blending. And I'll have like links to all of the inks I used, but for the leaves, I used cabbage, artichoke, and kale, going light, medium, dark. So using a blending brush, adding the light color first, and then I would add the medium color more towards, the bases of the leaves and the stems. And then I'll go in with the darkest color, which was the kale, and just add that mostly on the stems and the very base of each of the leaves, because it creates that look at the depth, honestly. And I sound like a broken record. I don't have any other creative ways to say it. I really like the positively saturated inks. They soften, they as they dry back, they soften a bit, they lighten up a bit, and they blend even more. That's what I love so very much. Because I don't know if it's been super obvious, but I am not a patient person. Even when crafting. Because, I do it as a job, so it's a totally different thing. But even when crafting, it's like, I don't have the patience anymore to, really work, getting that perfect blend. I just want to slap that color on and move on, Even though I enjoy the process, I really enjoy ink blending on die cuts. Who'd have thunk? So, yeah, these inks just make life a little easier. So, I did the greenery. And then for some of the florals, I'm using an orange trio, which was peachy, grapefruit, and mandarin. And same thing, lightest to darkest. And then for my purple trio, I'm using heather, violet, and iris. Same thing, light, medium, dark. And I'm just using smaller blending brushes and keeping a little sort of white space. Not a lot, but just lighter areas, which is also something I am very heavy-handed. So that's also why I don't do much clean and simple cards. It's very difficult for me to leave white space. There's an art to it. I am always in awe of the makers that can do like real clean and simple. You know, it takes skill. So anywho, for the other florals, I'm using the same inks, just like different combos of them. So for those large ones, I use the oranges, but I use the medium and the dark, so the grapefruit and the mandarin. I did the same thing with the purples. I used the violet and iris. So same colors, just using the darker, you know, shades of the trio, just to give it a slightly different look. And then I pulled in another combo for those little flowers. It was Tide Pool Tropic. I think those are the only two I ended up using on those because they're small. And then for the flower centers, I used charcoal, and then I pulled in some Rainbow Splash black ink just to deepen it up a bit. And then for any sort of die cut like this where I need to inlay pieces and there's not a backing piece, I just use washi tape. I just stick it into place. I'll add a bit of glue when I adhere the centers, and then when I adhere these to my finished project, I also make sure to add a little bit of glue where the washi tape is, just to make sure it like stays in place and doesn't like pop off down the road. So put washi tape on the back, and then I can just inlay all of these little flower centers, and then I've got my little clusters of flowers. These smaller ones you can leave as is if you want, or you can adhere them together. I'm going to adhere all mine together because it looks cuter in my opinion. But yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want. That's kind of the beauty of it all. So I just adhered the smaller one on top of the larger one. And if you want to create a little more dimension, you could use little thin foam squares, things like that. These are quite small. So I personally wouldn't bother, but it is an option. And then bold leaves background. Like I said, I forget how many videos. It was like half a dozen, I think, different videos using this background stamp. And when I was like mentally planning this card, it just popped in my head and I was like, oh, that it must be used. It's perfect. So dug through my stash, pulled it out. Because this is a red rubber on cling background stamp, I just stuck it face up on my desk. It depends on my mood. Honestly, you can do it either way. If you want to be able to like get your background stamped really well, or stamp it more than once, use a stamp positioner. That's definitely the way to go. But this is old school. This is what we did before we had stamp positioners and big background stamps. Is face up on the work surface. I had my black cardstock. These are just a couple of A2 size panels. I use my anti-static powder tool on the cardstock. That'll prevent the embossing powder from clinging to anything other than the stamped image. Then I inked up the stamp with clear embossing ink, and then pressed the cardstock into the background stamp, and then coating everything with Simon's Detail Clear embossing powder. And I've talked about heat embossing. It'll never get old for me. It's still magical. I love like melting metallic embossing powders, but melting clear on dark cardstock like this is also ridiculously satisfying because you can really see it. Like, look at that. Look how it just magical as it melts. And it's also really easy to tell if you miss a spot because it needs to be obviously smooth, shiny, raised when it's melted. If there's any dull grainy areas, you just miss a spot, hit it with the heat tool, you're good to go. So melted those, tilted it back and forth in the light, making sure I had everything melted. And then I used my microfiber cloth and a smidge of elbow grease to remove that excess anti-static powder. And then once that was removed, I'm using the CZ Design Big Bat Wafer die. This die set has this great big bat. Gives you an idea how big it is because these are A2 size panels, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I die cut these backgrounds with that bat wafer die. And again, satisfaction. Yep. Because it's so fun when the idea in my head, actually works. And I was like, okay, this is going places. I'm liking this. So the sentiment is also from that big bat die set because there's the sentiment. There is an outline as well to adhere the sentiment to. I didn't use that. I used just the sentiment. Die cut it from some scraps of the same smooth white cardstock. And I'm only layering 2 layers of this together. Just usually I do 3 because that's just, again, habit. But I found with this 2 is enough because also this cardstock is like heavyweight because Simon's cardstock's 120 pound. So adhered everything together, even the little comma there because I wanted to ink blend on these two. So after I had adhered the sentiments, I stuck them to my grip mat. And then I'm using that same purple trio to add the color to this. So again, just slapping it on. Not too worried about it because it's gonna smooth out and do most of the work for me. And I love that. Like I say with other things, like me speeding up my videos, like, well, I wish I could do that when I'm cleaning. I would like other items to just, really, if I could just not clean my house. You know, housekeepers cost too much money. Anyway, random. I'm all over the place, you guys. So after I was done the ink blending, it's now time to assemble. And top folding A2 white note card. This is when I had finally decided that I was going to keep these a little more clean and simple. So I'm going to adhere my big bat die cut to my card front with craft tacky glue. Once that's adhered into place, I pulled out some baker's twine, as per usual. And I'm going to wrap that around my card front. Once I've got that wrapped around, I'm going to start the knot, reverse tweezers, as always, makes life so much easier. So you start the knot, the reverse tweezers, I'll just pinch, hold that in place so I can fiddle with my bow, get it the way I want it, because you don't want to pull, especially baker's twine, you don't want to pull it taut until you kind of have it the way you want it, because it's twisted. Like all the threads in baker's twine are twisted, and that's when it'll start twisting and looking weird, and then your bow's all wonky, which for Halloween cards wouldn't be too bad, but yeah. So the reverse tweezers come in really handy to kind of hold things in place. And then off camera, I had already assembled one of the cards. So I'm now just following that. And again, this is sped up in editing. So it looks like I know what I'm doing, but I had done some fiddling to arrange everything. Did all that off camera. So got the greenery adhered, and then I start adhering all of my little flower bits to create this little cluster. And yeah, making sure that I get the adhesive kind of right around where all that washi tape is, so that everything stays adhered. It's not going to fall apart, anything like that. So I'm going to adhere all of these little flowers on top of the leaves, making sure to leave enough of the bat, outline, so you can actually tell that it's a bat, because otherwise that would just be weird. So got all of these adhered into place. And then I'd also used, there's 2 little bat wafer dies in the big bat die set. And I had die cut those from some scraps of black glitter cardstock. So they're glittery and all fabulous. And then I'm going to adhere those to the card front as well. And then my sentiment, I'm just going to adhere right on top. So put thin little lines of adhesive on the back of this, and then I'm just going to layer it right on top of the leaves and the big bat. This is also why I didn't want to use the outline, because I wanted to put them on two different lines basically. So got that adhered. And then for the sentiment on the inside, I'm using it's a big stamp set, the Spooky Sweets stamp set. I'm sure that will end up making its own feature in this series later on. But I just took the little Happy Halloween sentiment from the stamp set, and I stamped that onto the insides of the cards with the violet purple ink. And then I adhered a couple more little die cut florals that I had ink blended, and some more bats, because why not? Why not? So I adhered some more little glitter bats, and then trimmed off the little bit of the leaf that was hanging off the edge of the card, making sure not to trim through the baker's twine, because that would not have been a good thing. And then as my final little bit of embellishment, I still had these sitting out from a previous project. So it was the Spacewalk confetti from Trinity Stamps. They were purple. It worked. So sprinkled a few of these around my little floral clusters. And then once I was kind of happy with the placement, I just picked those up with my embellishment wand and adhere them into place. And then all I got to do is let the glue dry, and these cards are complete. So we got flowers and heat embossing and glittery bats, and I really like that big bat wafer die. How fun is that? And that leaf background. Yeah, I might have to make more videos using it again, because I really do like that background. So, like I mentioned in the intro, I'll have links to all of the things in the description box below the video. And then if you want to see all the previous playlists with just tons of videos that I've done over the years that are Halloween themed, those will be linked in the blog post that will also be linked directly below the video. So if you just expand the description box Everything will be listed and linked for your convenience. And yeah, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in supporting me over on Patreon, the link to that is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!